A very good evening. Welcome to Network. My name is Siphumelele Zondi. Ebola has killed thousands in West Africa. Now, two South African brothers have come up with a method to track patients faster. We'll tell you about it tonight. We also have information on how South Africa tweets. Vodacom is teaming up with government to train unemployed youths who want to get into ICT. Our guest tonight will tell you about that. We are live, so find us on SABC Network on Facebook and Twitter. It's News Network at sabc.co.za on email. This year's Mobile Africa 360 conference concluded on Friday in Cape Town. The three-day event focuses on how mobile phones enable social and economic development in sub-Saharan Africa. For the first time, the conference hosted the Connected Women program. The program is unique in that it aims to discuss how the industry can accelerate the growth of the female digital economy. Here's Dilek Khaswane with the details.
This year's edition of Mobile Africa 360 will be defined by the GSMA 2014 report that in only 6 years' time, the number of unique mobile subscribers in sub-Saharan Africa will grow to 500 million. That is half the current size of the continent's population. The number is staggering, but less so when you look closely at the number of subscriptions in terms of gender. It's for this reason that this year's Mobile Africa 360 held its first conference focusing on women's inclusion in the mobile economy.
And those barriers are perception that the woman doesn't need to own a mobile phone, the cost of ownership, and also the perception that a woman actually, she doesn't need to own one.
It appears there are plenty of examples that can help women engage in the mobile economy, even in the most conservative of societies. A mobile network provider in the Middle East called AsiaCell is one such role model.
They opened female-only stores that were staffed by just females only. The call centres were females only. The product they had was called Almas, which in Arabic means diamonds. And it also had a bye-bye service. So if the women were being harassed, they could put a block on that number. So that no text message, no calling.
Because of this novel initiative, female mobile phone ownership in Iraq has more than doubled to 40%. But even if female mobile phone subscriptions grew to rival that of males, it will be futile if the contents of that mobile device did not speak directly to their needs.
A lot of people may have, as you said, access to a mobile phone. They may even have access to the internet, but they may not be able to understand the language that's coming through on that.
So, pretty much, if female participation in the mobile economy is to be increased and sustained, more sites, apps and safety regulations have to be developed. Hopefully, conferences such as Connected Women will go a long way in making that a reality.
As technology evolves, filmmakers will have the luxury to use nifty little gadgets. These gadgets can fit in a palm of a hand. One lucky production company in South Africa called 113 Pictures had a chance to put these to the test.
We're in a movie set where South African production company 113 Pictures is taking on the challenge. They were chosen from a group of several local companies to participate in a mini drone film challenge, which was organized by Rainbow Productions. About 10 companies have been chosen across the globe. This after Parrot, a drone manufacturer, had challenged filmmakers around the globe to use these gadgets. These drones can be used to shoot a scene in a film or maybe used as toys. Film director Khosi Chweni says he hopes to make the cut.
We're basically representing Africa. The genre we got was time travel, and we're making a 2.5-minute movie.
One of the conditions is to use the drone as part of production.
We've used them as actual time traveling devices, and we're going to shoot a public service announcement in a world where these things are very normal. So everyone has one. Everyone gets one when they turn 21, and it's up to you when you use it. You can only use it once.
To operate the Rolling Spider drone, all you need to do is to install the app called Free Flight 3 on a smartphone or a tablet. Then activate Bluetooth, then insert a fully charged battery. These little buggers can consume power. You do the same with the Jumping Sumo, but instead of connecting to Bluetooth, you need Wi-Fi. A winner will be announced during a film screening in Paris on the 10th of December.
Media reports say SABC has formally requested the man who erected a Giants poster that criticizes the company to take it down. The man's anger at the quality of service he was getting from the mobile phone network operator has caused excitement in social media. Eltrin St-Pierre has this story for us.
How far would you go to make your service provider's poor service known? Do you throw a tantrum in the shop, write on Hello Peter, take to social media, or do you put up a giant banner at one of Johannesburg's busiest intersections? The banner reads, "The most useless service provider in South Africa, SABC Sandton City," splashed with the franchise manager's name and contact details. The banner caused a stir on Twitter, trending within hours after it was put up. This retweet reads, "The best kind of angry. When rich people get angry, #angry money." But who is this mysterious angry customer? The Worldware Center management, who owns the advertising space, is keeping mum. And all SABC would say is, "We can confirm that there is a dispute between SABC and the customer responsible for the banner, and we are attempting to resolve the matter." And according to industry experts, the SABC brand has taken a knock.
For customers, it says you need to understand the power you have in your hands, the power to be able to hold companies accountable.
And as the SABC payoff line goes, the power is in your hands.
Now, two South African brothers have created a new Ebola app. The smartphone data collection application is for healthcare workers. It also helps them track Ebola patients. Two South African brothers, Philip and Malan Jube, have developed an app that is helping in the fight against Ebola.
We spoke to NGOs and aid organizations in West Africa and asked them what their challenges were.
The information they received resulted in the Ebola Care application. It's an Android smartphone app that has a GPS system to track down Ebola patients. Patients' data is installed into smartphones. That then helps health workers process information faster than they would with paper forms.
That information is visible to decision makers at the aid organizations in real time, and that allows them to be much more proactive about dealing with the Ebola crisis rather than being reactive.
The first version of the Ebola Care application has already been tested in Liberia. The brothers have tweaked it several times to make the user experience better. The Kenyan capital, Nairobi, tops the countries that tweet in the most in East Africa. It's sixth in Africa on the list. Now, one Kenyan man is trying to draw up a list of words Kenyans use the most in the social network.
Mark Kaigwa goes through the alphabet with us. This time, it is more than your normal ABC. It is a glossary of common words used by Kenyans on Twitter. There are about 2 million Kenyans on Twitter, out of whom 700,000 are active.
For me, it's anybody who's looking to understand some of these things distilled, some of these elements of culture broken down. And it's also for Kenyans themselves, because we get so used to certain almost online social norms that we forget where they came from.
And they range from very serious issues like W for Westgate, the mall where terrorists struck in September last year, killing more than 60 people. Several letters depicting celebrities, events, and there is one letter that could not miss.
The letter S stands for someone tell. And this is a very interesting letter because the hashtag someone tell has been in many ways one of the most uniting things about Kenyans.
And Kenyans' tweeting habits are no different from the rest of the continent. Johannesburg, Nairobi, Cairo, Accra are some of the top tweeting cities. They are regional economic powerhouses, but also the ones with the most connectivity.
Smartphones will have an outsized impact in Africa, where Twitter use is predominantly being done on smartphones. This is a very African phenomenon.
And as more Africans turn to Twitter, the languages are expanding.
It's no longer a choice. You have to be part of social media. You need to be listening, whether you're an organization, whether you're a government, whether you're a citizen.
And Africans are not being left behind. Sarah Kimani in Nairobi, Kenya.
Let's take a look at other leading stories in technology.
For the 5th year running, BlackBerry has been voted the most innovative mobile company by over 1 million South African university students. The Makoya Youth Awards are conducted by Student Village, which is South Africa's leading provider of online youth marketing solutions. Throughout the year, BlackBerry continued with its winning youth-focused formula, but this time with a twist. They used brand ambassadors on a number of campuses, combined with impactful creative activations supported by social media. Over in Kenya, the Taxi Owners Association has partnered with the leading telecoms company Safaricom to launch a cashless payment system dubbed My 1963 for commuters in the capital, Nairobi. The launch service was witnessed by the President Uhuru Kenyatta on Wednesday. The service will see commuters use a prepaid card to pay their fares, replacing the current method where fares are paid using cash.
It's some kind of accountability, because with cash, you find that there are a lot of problems associated with handling cash, especially during rush periods.
Finally, a fantastic innovation for the developing world has this week won a prestigious award. A prototype inflatable incubator for prematurely born babies has been picked as the international winner of this year's James Dyson Award. The device, which is called MUM, costs a fraction of the traditional incubator. The project's inventor, James Roberts, says he hopes the final product will be used in the developing world. This is a region of the world where prematurely born babies are most likely to die due to a lack of adequate and affordable resources.
And after the break, we'll talk about Project Esizwe's work in online spaces in Tshwane. It's News Network at sabc.co.za and email. Stay with us.
The new 12-pack Ice Cold. The next generation in extra cold.
SABC News, we've got Africa covered.
Welcome back, SABC Network on Facebook and Twitter. Now, the city of Tshwane's residents will enjoy streaming their local content thanks to Project Esizwe and their video on demand project. Connect Up is an uncapped video streaming channel. It showcases the city's talent.
These are some of the videos Praetorians will be spoiled with. Shot and produced by young graduates from around the city. Earlier this year, City of Tshwane and Project Esizwe teamed up to provide residents with free Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi is capped at 250 megabytes per IP. But with the new video on demand, the residents get to enjoy uncapped streaming. James Divine, Chief Innovation Officer at Project Esizwe, says their video on demand is separated into 4 channels.
Mamelodi, MEMS, Atteridgeville, Attville, Soshanguve, Sosh, and CBD, which is the Pretoria CBD. Inside of the CBD, inside of all of those 4 channels, they've got religious events, local events, what things going on in your area, get to know your area, and just general on the ground, real live journalism.
Most of the hotspots are located next to schools around the city. And this has presented a unique opportunity for schools to use the free Wi-Fi. Mr. Israel Matidiso, a teacher in Maramatlo Primary in Atteridgeville, says they really appreciate the initiative.
We are able to access the information through the internet, especially learners. We bring them in the lab so that maybe if they have work to do, maybe a task, they've been given a task.
The project is only based in Tshwane. So the question is, what are the plans for other cities?
To tell us more about Project Isizwe is Chief Operating Officer Zahir Khan. He's joining us from our Cape Town studios. Hello and thank you for being a part of our network, Zahir.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Now, how did it all start?
Well, the initiative for Project Isizwe started with a little dream of provisioning free Wi-Fi to Africa. We actually engaged quite a few organizations in the early days and established that there was this significant lack of bridging the digital divide. And that's one of the areas we aim to start making a difference towards in the short term.
And how did you eventually decide that Tshwane was the city that was to get Wi-Fi?
Well, I think we're very privileged and honored to be a part of the vision that actually the city of Tshwane actually holds very close. They have a smart city structure and plans, and they're actually enabling it through one of the initiatives being free Wi-Fi. And we were very fortunate in that they selected Project Isizwe as a preferred partner to deliver on the mandate of provisioning open public space Wi-Fi throughout the city of Tshwane.
Now, Tshwane has been the first city that you've selected. Are you moving anywhere else after Tshwane?
Well, I think we currently engaged with municipalities, provincial governments, as well as national government. And the aim is to provide free Wi-Fi throughout South Africa in all open public spaces for low-income communities, regardless of boundaries or municipal boundaries. We do know that there are plans for the future where the national broadband framework actually talks of provisioning free Wi-Fi to the entire country. And once that's actually passed, hopefully we'll have local municipalities that will treat it as a basic service. Just as electricity, water, and sanitation services, free Wi-Fi will become a basic service to all people, and a limited quota will be enabled for everyone.
What's in it for Project Isizwe?
Well, we have the vision of enabling people with access to the internet, because we see the value of empowerment through such access. We have actually established that there are educational benefits, we have economic development benefits, as well as social inclusion. And these aren't things that we, as a 21st century or country, we can't ignore it anymore. The world is moving ahead, and South Africa and the rest of Africa is actually falling more and more behind, which is why the time to act is right now.
You mentioning that Tshwane was quick to come on board. In fact, they had their own plan already. But are partners willing as Tshwane has been to work with you guys?
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Are other partners as willing as Tshwane was to work with you guys? Are they coming on board quite easily?
Well, we've got the Western Cape provincial government as well that has rolled out to 2 towns with Project Isizwe, and that was to the town of Atlantis and the town of Robertson. We've seen some great success stories. I think in our first month of launch, we had more than 1,600 users of that Western Cape free Wi-Fi networks. And as and when we grow further and further, we're hoping to deploy in all the provinces and at least touch a few towns in each of those provinces.
Now, this video on demand project that you're going into, tell us a bit about it. Why?
Well, it all started with the provisioning of the free Wi-Fi network. Once the network is there, the next step is how can you actually empower people by utilizing this network? And one of the key drivers for smart city initiatives is to have hyper-localized content that's geared towards its communities that the city serves. So this fell in perfectly in line with what we could do with the 4 channels being Atteridgeville, Soshanguve, Mamelodi, and CBD. The youth teams on the ground that actually go out into the towns, find the local stories that are relevant to those communities. And that's a way of community members staying in touch with what's actually happening within their environments.
All right, so Zahir Khan, Chief Operating Officer of Project Isizwe, thank you very much for being a part of our network tonight.
Absolute pleasure.
All right, after the break, we'll chat about how government and the private sector are working together to train young people. Find us on SABC Network on Facebook and Twitter. Welcome back. Now, the problem of skill shortage in South Africa has been raised several times. Now, government is teaming up with Vodacom to try and solve this problem. They've created a training program for unemployed youth.
Whether it's a camera before it clicks or a tablet before we post stuff in social media, it all needs to be designed, built and assembled before we use it. Often there's a shortage of people with these skills in South Africa.
The 21st century economy and going forward, the economy will largely be driven by technical skills. If you look at the penetration of technology into our economy, it's still very limited. And the potential, therefore, to grow that space, to grow the economy is huge.
Vodacom, the Independent Development Trust and Cisco are now teaming up to try and address the problem of the shortage of skills in the sector. They're giving training to these young people with an interest in information and communications technology. And those that are participating already have a vision of where they would like to end up.
I want to get some working experience first before I can go and do my own thing. I'm planning on, maybe having my own networking company.
One group has already completed the program that's being offered to them for free.
And joining me in studio to talk about this initiative is Suraya Hamdulai, Vodacom's Executive Head of Media for Corporate Social Investment and Sustainability. Hello, and thank you for being a part of our network.
Thank you for having me.
And why did you decide to team up with government here?
So this particular youth skills program is part of a bigger initiative of the Vodacom Foundation. The Vodacom Foundation in 2011 launched the Vodacom Mobile Education Program. And what this program seeks to do is it seeks to put in ICT hardware and software into schools. It establishes ICT centers around the country, and it also looks very deeply at training for teachers around the country to ensure that they're able to use ICT and integrate it into the classroom. When we launched this program and as we rolled it out, we found that there was something missing. And what was actually missing was that there weren't sufficiently skilled youth who were able to be placed inside of the ICT centers and really roll out some of the programs that we have in place. And that is how the Youth Skills Program was born.
And it's obviously giving them skills that they're not only going to be using when they're employed by somebody else.
So the Youth Skills Program seeks to do two things. The one thing is to train youth in ICT skills, and it's a year-long program, so 6 months focuses on training them in ICT skills, and the other 6 months looks at giving them entrepreneurship skills and business skills to ready them for the outside world.
You have one group that's already completed. Can you tell us about that group?
So the first group has gone through, we've trained 18 trainers who have gone on to train another 135 learners around the country, from Cape Town to Port Elizabeth to Mpumalanga to, all over the country. We've trained them, and what they're now going to be doing is they will be deployed in the Vodacom ICT centers. We've got 40 ICT centers around the country. We plan in the next 3 months to roll out another 20. But over and above that, we've engaged both with government and the NPO sector to look at learnerships and internships so that these youth can be placed in these sectors where there's huge skill shortages, and also have the opportunity to be employed given that they are now skilled.
Can you just tell us a bit about what each partner is bringing in? There's Cisco and then there's the IDT.
So Vodacom plays the role of the key coordinator of the program. We bring the program together and we're responsible for the training. But Cisco as a partner does the physical training of the youth. The IDT has partnered with Vodacom to ensure that all of the youth receive a stipend to take care of their basic costs through the month.
And would you say that with the group that you've had already, it's gone well?
Absolutely. We've had some really amazing success stories where some of the youth, soon after completing the program, have already been employed. And there's a huge ripple effect through the ICT centres where the youth are actually training members of the community. In the Western Cape, for example, in our Worcester ICT Centre, we've had some fantastic testimonials of members of the public, and particularly women, who've accessed the centre, and through the help of the youth who have been trained, have now gained basic ICT skills, computer skills, and are then able to look for jobs.
You spoke briefly about those teacher training centres. What were their purpose actually when you started?
So when Vodacom launched the mobile education program, we worked very closely with government to look at what were their key challenges and how could Vodacom play a role in helping them attain their goals. And one of the big things that the department came back to us was the fact that teachers are not sufficiently trained in ICT and the integration of ICT in the classroom. So the key role of the ICT centres is to play the role of a teacher training centre. And we have a very structured program which has been worked out with the department to ensure that teachers are accessing the training centre and taking those learnings back into school.
Well, Surya Hamdullah, thank you very much for being a part of our network tonight.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Surya Hamdullah is with Vodacom. Now let's take a look at what some people have been sharing in social media. Late Bafana captain Senzo Meyiwa has been trending for his inclusion in the shortlist for CAF's Africa-based African Player of the Year award. The Orlando Pirates goalkeeper was shot dead last month. Many in social media have been celebrating his inclusion. Another popular topic is the expulsion of trade union NUMSA from COSATU. Many have been sharing their views about this. Some are even looking at the constitution to see whether NUMSA can take it to court. Acting Zambian President Guy Scott has been trending. He is ineligible to be the country's president because his family came from Scotland. Some are wondering who will take over as president. That's all we have for you. Remember to find us on SABC Network on Facebook and Twitter. It's newsnetwork at sabc.co.za and email. We leave you with a video of a prototype flying car. The Aeromobile 3.0 was built in just 10 months. It may look like something from a science fiction movie, but it truly is real, and this could be the next must-have car for the future.